Hi guys, my name is Alyssa and I am doing the instructional procedure for the KWL chart. The KWL chart can be used for any kind of lesson. It can be used for history, it can be used for science, math, writing, and reading. So anything that you are doing, this KWL chart can be incorporated into it. So what is the KWL chart? The K stands for what we already know. The W stands for what we wonder, and the L stands for what we've learned. So what should we know about the KWL chart? The KWL chart is usually presented at the very beginning of a semantic unit. The chart can be placed on a wall. For example, I did a wall. It's a little a little small, but you can make it bigger, more color, get the students' attention. But make sure you have something maybe on a wall for the KWL chart. You can also put it on a whiteboard, a small one. You can put it on a big one. But you want the kids to be able to see it. You can also have the students make their own KWL charts, and they can keep them in their binders, in their desks, wherever. I personally think it's important to have one in the classroom where the students can see it constantly, and then one where the students kind of have their own copy, so they're practicing on their writing and they're copying down what they've learning, what they've wondered, and what they already know. So what should we know about the KWL chart? The chart can be placed on a wall, like I said. You can have a handout. You can have it on a whiteboard. The KWL chart is used to help identify what students already know and what students wonder about the unit. The teacher writes the topics or the ideas that the students have on the main one, just so that the students can read it, I would say, and the teacher can see which students are participating and know that, okay, this student really knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or the student really knows the theme of a certain book. So the W, what we wonder about the KWL chart. This procedure helps students activate prior knowledge. It combines the prior knowledge with future vocabulary, new concepts, and new ideas. The teacher writes the questions that the students have on the KWL chart, and then the students can write their own on their own paper. They continue to add questions throughout a unit. The unit that I will be explaining, the KWL chart, is not very long, but if you did do a long unit, maybe for a week, for maybe like a science project, the students could continue to put what they wonder about their experiment, what they wonder about their plant. Does the plant need water to grow? And then as they do their experiment, they realize, oh, the plant obviously needs water to grow, so we've learned that the plant needs water. So what we've learned, that L, the KWL chart is supposed to help children bring forth prior knowledge, help them answer questions they have about the unit, and show them what they've already learned. Sometimes the KWL chart can be used for showing categories, organizing categories to bring in the big ideas and help students remember more of what they've learned, because they're visually seeing it, they're writing it down, and they're writing down what they've learned. It's a lot easier to remember when you're writing everything down. So I'm going to do a little example of how to incorporate the KWL chart. Like I said earlier, the KWL chart comes in at the very beginning of a thematic unit. So my lesson plan that I created for this week was reading comprehension, and it was called Sticky Story. I'll go ahead and explain a little bit of what this is. So Sticky Story is about a teacher that brings in a book, any kind of book you want. It can be about the Three Little Pigs, it can be about clocks, it can be about a famous person, as long as the students have a copy. They have to have their own copy. At the very beginning, as soon as you give the students the book, bring out the KWL chart. Okay? Ask them. Let's do the Three Little Pigs, for example. Each kid has a copy of the Three Little Pigs. Ask them what they already know about the Three Little Pigs, if they've read it before. So one student may say, oh, I know that there's 3 little pigs. So you write down 3 little pigs. I wrote it there, but it's kind of hard to see. Sorry. Another student may say, oh, we know that the antagonist is the wolf. He's the one that causes all the problems. So we know that there's a wolf involved. Another student may say, we also know that there's a common theme that happens within the story, that the wolf does something. Okay, so we know the wolf does something, so we write that down. So then I ask them, what do you wonder about this story? Kid may ask, I wonder if the little pigs get away. So you say, I wonder, what we wonder, do pigs get away? You might say, what's the pigs' names? And they would write this on their own piece of paper or their own chart as well. So honestly, you can do it with any kind of book that you want. I would prefer maybe like a fiction book, and then make sure you have sticky notes and a pencil. Then we lead into what the students will be doing. So as a class, you would read the book together, and you would, after, talk about the book, talk about major characters, the theme, and some important things that have happened throughout the book. Then you tell the students, okay, you guys are going to go off on your own in groups, and you're going to read the book together again. So once the students have read the books again with their groups, the teacher will ask them to separate, go back to your seats, and the teacher will hand out sticky notes to every student. And the students are going to put sticky notes and draw and doodle something that reminds them of what was on that page. So the teacher would show them what a doodle is, how it only took me maybe 10 seconds to 30 seconds to actually draw it. I'm not taking a lot of time, but they are learning to, okay, this page had the wolf blew down one of the pigs' houses. So they would draw a little doodle of a house and wind blowing it down maybe. And that is just the doodle that they make, and they leave the sticky note on that page. They'll do that throughout the lesson. For EL students or for children with learning disabilities, you might have them do 2 sticky notes on a page and have them split up maybe a paragraph or sentences, so that they would have this sentence contains a picture of the wolf huffing and puffing, and so he would have like a wolf would have like a big mouth, like something like that. And then the second paragraph or the second sentence may say, and he blew that house away. So he would have another sticky note on that same page. And so he'd have a total of 2. And you would do that throughout the whole entire book. That's why you're only going to use the small little fiction books, because you want them to read through it and be able to comprehend what they have read. So the whole idea of this book is to have the students draw their own pictures in their mind and on paper, and then at the very end be able to retell the story. So what are you assessing as a teacher? You are assessing whether the students can comprehend what they are learning or what they are reading. And at the very end of the lesson, the students will, whoever wants to, will come up and they will explain to the class what each sticky note is and how it kind of correlates to the story, and they will retell the story using their sticky notes. The assessment is that they will turn in their sticky notes on a piece of paper. They'll put them up from the very first page sticky note, and they'll put them in order on a piece of paper, and then the teacher will grade whether how creative, if their story makes sense, and they'll be assessed through there. And then they'll also be assessed through comprehension of, can you retell the story? Can you tell me what happened? Who are the characters? And the major themes. So at the very end of the lesson, so the KWL, you go back to what they've learned. So hopefully by the end of this lesson, the students learned that they have to kind of create their own pictures in their head and remember what they're learning, or remember what they're reading. So you would ask the students, so what's something that you guys learned about this lesson? It's easy to make pictures on, or it's easy to remember something when you write it down, or it's easy to remember something when you draw a picture and you can visually see it. And you would write that down, and they would write that down on their KWL chart as well. And then you would just constantly provide feedback of, yeah, that's a great idea, or I think what you said was very good at the fact that you're learning how to remember what you read. So you want to kind of praise, everything that the students bring forth of what they've learned. And I think that's pretty much it. Classroom rules. Yeah, so the whole purpose of this is to help them retell the story and comprehend what they've read while using the KWL chart. Remember that the KWL chart comes at the very first part of the thematic unit. You bring it in, you ask the students what they know about comprehension. Okay, so if we're doing a comprehension reading assessment or lesson, you ask the students, what is comprehension? What does that mean? And some students may say, oh, I know what comprehension is. It means like knowing something, or it's being able to recall something. And then you might say, well, do we know what recall means? And then if some students say, yeah, recall means to bring something up from prior knowledge. Put it in there. And then you might ask a question about, what do you wonder about comprehension? And the students might say, well, how do we get it? Okay, how do we get it? And then throughout the lesson, the students understand that reading comprehension is being able to recall a story or something that they've read. And I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's the KWL chart. I hope it's helpful, and I hope that you guys learned something. So thank you. Bye.